Hi, Nick from GivePanel here. Today we're going to be looking at how you can run virtual events on Facebook using Facebook groups, a really popular topic. So let's dive in. Just want to say that virtual events just aren't a thing just because of the COVID pandemic. Even before the COVID pandemic, Just Giving released some data that showed that virtual events were growing at 1,000%, over 1,000% per year. That was back in 2018. And so what has happened is that social distancing and lockdowns have actually accelerated virtual events. So they were already a thing, and what's happened is the COVID pandemic has accelerated them, and Blackboard brought out a study that said now over 76% of organizations have used at least one virtual fundraising initiative for the first time during the lockdown, and on average around 60% of charities now do some sort of virtual fundraising. So it's been incredibly high growth, but at the same time, it's not all good news. Massive, a UK agency, said that, you know, of course, there's a few virtual events that make a lot of money, but on average, the average virtual event only raises around £33,000 or $45,000. Now, that is still quite a lot of money if you're a small organization. But there's a big disparity. There's kind of two types of virtual events we see: virtual events that raise a lot of money and virtual events that kind of don't raise a lot of money. And our clients right now, using Facebook fundraisers, using Facebook groups, using the methods I'm about to tell you in this video, are smashing it, raising a lot more than that average of £33,000 or $45,000. And here you can see some of our clients raising nearly $1 million every time that they do one of these Facebook challenges, one of these virtual events on Facebook using Facebook groups. And it works for all sorts of different types of organizations. You could be an animal charity who can do some kind of virtual dog walk. You can be a children's hospice. You can be a cancer charity. You can be a mental health organization. And all sorts of organizations are raising hundreds of thousands of dollars and pounds and euros using the methods I'm about to share with you in this video. So really, the key to all of this is Facebook groups, okay? And they're the key to doing they're the key in the difference between virtual events that raise a lot of money and virtual events that don't raise a lot of money. It's all to do with Facebook groups. And that's because right now they're the best place online to gather people. So if you want to gather in an online community, where would you do that? And Facebook groups just tend to be the best place to gather around particular topics. And that's partly because there's a lot of people on Facebook, obviously, but also Facebook actually prioritizing groups. So they prioritize groups in the newsfeed above things like Facebook pages, and have been doing that for a long time. And that's because what Facebook want is really connecting. It wants to connect people, and groups are a great way of doing that. And also Facebook have plowed a ton of development resource into Facebook groups and launched a huge amount of really useful features in groups that weren't there two years ago. And they help you really moderate and manage your community to create an incredible event. So let's look at the 5 ways you can use Facebook groups for your virtual event. Okay, so number 1 is create a separate Facebook group for each event. Sounds obvious, but it's amazing how many organizations just use a general Facebook group for their fundraisers. You don't want to do that. You want to make this event special. You want to keep it separate, and you want to have a dedicated group just for this one event. So this example here is from one of our clients, Laura Lynn, who did 3,000 press-ups in April, raised a lot of money, and created a dedicated Facebook group for that event. And you can do this by you can create groups that are kind of linked under your page, and so that way they can kind of be official groups that are linked to your Facebook page, and so come across very trustworthy to people taking part in the event. And the other great thing about Facebook groups, guys, is they're free and super easy to set up. You can set up a group in 5 seconds, really, not even 5 minutes. It's just a couple of button clicks. You can create them for free, and you can create as many as you want as well. So number 1 out of 5, separate Facebook group, have a separate Facebook group for each event. Okay, number 2 is give the community a common goal or a challenge. So we call them Facebook challenges, and that's because people love doing things together, right? So you want to give them a common objective to achieve. So for example, walking 50 miles in a month is a good one, 10,000 steps a day for a whole month, 3,000 press-ups in a month, whatever it might be. You want to set a single goal to achieve. What we see organizations sometimes get wrong, and what we advise our clients not to do, is give people too much choice. Don't give them too much choice in the way that they do it. What you want to do, what that will happen is they'll be less likely to do it because they have to make decisions. And when people have to make decisions, you kind of end up losing them. And they will also not feel like everyone in the group is doing it together, right? If they're all doing different things. So what you want to do is come up with that common challenge. And if you get this right, it's amazing what happens in the group. It becomes like some big sports team, right? Where everyone's on the same team heading towards the same goal. And they'll share their progress towards that goal. They'll help each other out in the group. We have had amazing experiences where people are like, maybe some people are short of the goal. For example, if they're doing 10,000 steps a day in a month, maybe some people are short, and other people have done more than 10,000 steps and actually donate their steps kind of like to other people in the group. Just some really fun things when people really take ownership of the community. And the way to do that is to give them a common goal. So that's number 2. Number 3 is you need to enlist group champions. Okay, so when you start your Facebook group, it's going to be empty. It's going to be a bit like tumbleweed with no one around. And what you want to do is get people from your organization, so your colleagues and your friends, to do the event and go and start to be part of the group as group champions first. And you want to prepare and train and coach your group champions to post interesting and engaging things in the group, and also like and comment on everyone else's posts. So here's an example from Jill on my team, who was in one of our clients' groups, and she was in there as a positive champion. She was doing the challenge herself, and she was trained and knew what she was doing, how to create the group to be an amazing place. If you don't do this, what will happen is you will just get any kind of group. What you want to do is ensure that the group starts off in the direction you want to go. And what people do is they copy the champion. So they actually, if your champions post the right things, everyone else in the group will act like your champion. So you need to set that off in the right way by enlisting people who know what they're doing in there, who are going to be positive. You know they're for you. You know they're not going to cause trouble. And so that way you create this amazing, supportive, enriching, inspiring group environment from the get-go, from day one. So that's a very important step that many organizations don't do. Number 4 is you want to master group moderation. So Facebook, as I said before, gives you lots of features to manage your group. There's some of them here on the left-hand side you can see. And you can use these groups to make sure you're in control at the same time. So one of the scary things for fundraisers working for nonprofits who want to do these kind of groups is they're not in control. But actually, Facebook gives you a huge amount of control. So you have features like you can set it so that a specific person in the group needs approval before any of their posts go live. You can hide comments. You can ban people if it gets to that stage. You can do all sorts of things. There's about 15 different moderation features that you can use to keep control of your group. And so you can ensure that group all the time is all the people's questions are answered, any difficult situations are dealt with quickly. And so you want to make sure that you're really good. You've got really good community managers who are prepared to spend time and master group moderation. That's a really important step, number 4. And then the final step, guys, is to focus on Facebook fundraisers. And if people are already in the Facebook group having a fantastic time, then they're already on Facebook. They already have a Facebook login. They're already logged in on their app on their phone or on their desktop. And the easiest way to get them fundraising is just to get them to set up a Facebook fundraiser, right? That way they don't have to leave Facebook. They don't have to have new login credentials. They can do it all in one place. And not only that, they can do it incredibly quickly. It only takes 2 taps to set up a Facebook fundraiser for people. And also what happens when they set up their Facebook fundraiser is it automatically goes on their news feed and notifies their friends and family, which are the people who are going to sponsor them for the event. So usually within 5 minutes of setting up their Facebook fundraiser, they'll have their first donation, which is incredibly motivating. We see so many people who come into these groups, start a fundraiser, so inspired, and then that gets them to actually finish the challenge. So and motivates them to carry on and achieve that goal. So what you don't want to do is link out to kind of standalone platforms that have nothing to do with Facebook, where people need to sign up for a whole new account and remember username and passwords, and then they have to also come back to Facebook to post it to their friends and family. It's just too much and you won't raise enough money. What you want to do is focus on Facebook fundraisers, which is number 5. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. If you've got to this stage, if you've got any questions, I'm just at nick@givepanel.com. We have all sorts of cool virtual event tools. We have a whole academy called the Give Panel Academy that we dedicate to running these Facebook challenges, and we've helped nonprofits raise a lot of money doing this. About 20 million dollars so far we've raised with this method. So really happy to support anyone who wants help, and look forward to you getting in touch. Thanks.